Stay fresh, kids and squids. It's the final part of Splatoon single-player mode. We'll do multiplayer eventually. So yeah, this fucking cat is like 10,000 years old for some reason.
Well, it's just that it was cryogenically frozen, but
Well, that still means he's 10,000 years old. Captain America's like 90 or whatever. um, but yeah, now we've got the final boss, which I think is the highlight of the single-player mode. Really, it's nuts.
I hear a lot of good things about this one.
How many games these days have really awesome final bosses that people really hype about?
Bayonetta, Jubileus. I love that boss. Absolutely love that boss.
Well, discounting stylish action games, which seems to be the only genre that gets bosses right anymore. And even then they're inconsistent. DMC had horrible bosses.
Well, what are you talking about? The Succubus was totally a charming and clever boss fight.
But it's like...
And to be completely honest, you guys said you enjoyed the Bill O'Reilly boss fight.
I enjoyed the concept, and it was visually entertaining, but
yeah.
Gameplay-wise, very bland. It's just that, how many platformer bosses do you remember? Like any given boss in, say, classic Sonic the Hedgehog, or even classic Mega Man.
Well, Mega Man is you know what? To be honest, other than I think of the designs and the stages more than like the boss patterns for all the Mega Man robots.
Yeah, but do you remember them? Do they feel like hectic, action-packed boss fights while you're actually playing them?
Well,
I think it's a case-by-case basis.
Some of them do, some of them don't.
Well, here's the problem with a lot of bosses these days, okay? They're more fun to watch than they are to play. They're very cinematic. They have a lot of automated cinematic events going on.
And they aren't a giant octopus holding wasabi being a DJ while throwing missiles and giant fists at you.
Yeah, that sort of distracted me from what I was saying.
I can't look away.
Yeah, okay, first off, one thing I like about this boss fight is that it's more of a level than a boss, which I'm always a fan of because it makes
that's sort of the mentality that platformer bosses have, or are supposed to have, that they're like levels that you fight.
Well, I think that it plays with the I think boss fights are best when they work with the mechanics, and platformers are about jumping on stuff. So having I love this. His missiles have sunglasses on them. They've got rave glasses on. But as bosses are supposed to work with the mechanics, and having a random fight in a game that's about running and jumping on stuff kind of feels out of place. So making the boss work with the game's mechanics, I think, makes it better for that specific game.
He just called us a hipster.
It's just a lot of bosses don't even work with the game's mechanics these days. They just sort of
they're big and
there's like a laundry list checklist thing of boss mechanics that work in a modern game, and they like, if they hit enough points on that list, which applies across genres apparently, if they hit enough points on that list, developers call it a day.
Well, I'm thinking about games where I enjoy bosses, like RPGs, I suppose, but then again, a boss in an RPG, especially like a turn-based RPG, isn't that hard to make because you just have to come up with a character design and an AI pattern. Like, you can make the model look like whatever the fuck you want it to. It doesn't impact anything.
In an RPG, it's different because it's supposed to be about tactics.
Yeah.
So it's less about designing something and more about forcing you to actually play to the best of your abilities.
Yeah.
So I'm not really talking as much about that. Because okay, RPG bosses, in principle, haven't really changed much since the 8-bit days.
Yeah, basically. They're just harder than normal fights, which I guess are... Which again works with that game's mechanics. If you had to suddenly do a platforming challenge in the middle of an RPG,
but
it'd be weird.
There are tons and tons of great games released in modern times that have really shitty bosses, or maybe one or two really good bosses and everything else is meh. Take, for example, the Arkham series. Like, what the hell was that Titan boss at the end of the first one? That was pitiful.
Wasn't the final boss Mooks in Arkham Asylum?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
There was the Joker in Titan form.
Hey, you know what? Without spoiling anything, Arkham Knight kind of falls back into that same rut.
Unfortunately,
that's
so.
what I think I was talking to to Derek about this. He said that he didn't like the bosses much either.
The quote-unquote bosses in Arkham Knight.
Yeah, quote-unquote bosses.
He said he liked the bosses in Arkham Origins better, I think.
Yeah,
or just Derek? I can't remember. Somebody said that.
you know what cheeses me off, though? And not even so much designers having bad boss fights in their games anymore, but then turning around and trying to excuse this by saying, oh, bosses are an antiquated concept anyway.
Well, not every game needs to have a boss fight.
Not every game needs to have a boss fight, though. No, you know, people will sometimes complain about, say, Fable 2 not having a final boss.
Or Last of Us not having a boss or something like that.
Last of Us didn't have any bosses at all, really.
Well, but Last of Us had a climactic final area, which is good enough, really.
Well, for what The Last of Us is, you don't need boss fights.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a very narratively driven game, and just having regular enemies in challenging areas and patterns is enough. But, you know, game designers try to be artsy, try to sound artsy about what is essentially a shortcoming of modern game design. And that irritates me. No, just say it's harder to design adequate boss fights.
Or
you can be honest
you don't even
about
have to. You don't even have to say that. You can just say we didn't think our game needed boss fights. That's all you need to say, and you know you wouldn't be wrong.
Well, yeah, because if you put it the other way, it makes you sound insecure.
Because then when you try to say that boss fights are an antiquated concept, you're basically saying, oh, well, all these good games that have good boss fights in them, they're old style.
No, that's just an overly fluffy way of saying that you didn't want to.
Well, it's just, you know, like, I think a good boss fight has a different kind of feeling than almost anything else in a video game, really. Like, it's a very fighting like, most of the time in a standard level, you're not fighting something that's supposed to be bigger and stronger than you are.
Yeah, what designers will say is that boss fights are a gamey concept, and from a story standpoint, they don't make sense. Depending on what kind of story you're trying to tell, no, maybe they don't. Like, for example, the Ultima series has, like, an unreasoning hatred of all things boss fight. And for what the Ultima series tries to do, that works out just fine. You don't necessarily need boss fights for that kind of RPG. In fact, unless they really, really make sense for a specific adventure scenario, they kind of just wind up feeling forced. But, you know, trying to say that boss fights, as a concept, as a base concept, are too old style for modern games is just... You're trying to excuse your shortcoming by saying gaming needs to move in this specific direction that excludes what you can't design yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, this place is absolutely nuts, and I love it.
Oh, man.
You've got speaker tentacles in the background. And
they are speaker tentacles. Oh, God, I couldn't tell at this resolution, but...
Yeah, they're speaker tentacles. The game does look pretty nice in HD. Like, it's not the most graphically stunning game, but the ink actually looks really good, which is important. Like, if you look at ink you've swam through, swam through, there will be lines, there will be pass-through lines that show where you have gone swimming through it in squid form.
Tread marks.
Yeah, tread marks, exactly. And there's a difference in ink when you've sprayed over areas that you've only covered once or have been covered a lot of times. It's just... It's a nice looking game. Not the prettiest game I've ever seen, but it does the job.
It's a pretty nice looking game, although by this point in the game I'm starting to notice that the level construction itself is pretty simplistic.
Yeah.
Like, they probably had a very basic level creation tool where they just copied and pasted different basic geometry pieces together.
Oh, no, the levels are pretty clearly, like, random hunks of like
textured ramps and textured blocks and textured.
Yeah, I think they had to keep the geometry simple for the ink because
it's pretty obvious though that as you go through the game that everything starts to look like a really tripped out Tony Hawk course.
Yeah, basically.
So exactly what is this thing with the Sabi and the speakers and?
He's a dubstep. He's a dubstep DJ.
Yeah.
And he's being defeated by J-pop.
Yeah, so obviously J-pop is the true overlords. But short version, he stole their grandpa. This is where we get our shocking reveal that Agent 1 and 2 are the Squid sisters. So yeah.
Man, you know, J-pop versus dubstep is the most modern internet conflict ever.
Oh, Splatfest! Team dubstep or Team J-pop? Pick one.
No, it's like, okay, basically, when it comes to music tastes, you get two basic groups. You get the hardcore types who really like dubstep because it's manly, and then you get J-pop, which is for weebs.
Well, I really like all the Squid Sister songs in this game, and a detail I really like about this level in particularly is the DJ Octavio dances along to the music, like where it goes da da da. He'll do like little poses in time with the music, and it's just these are things that you're never gonna notice because this boss fight is hectic as shit. But it's, you know, I absolutely adore when stuff like that is put into games.
Yeah, I can get the general beat of the song right now, and I can see he's jumping in time with it.
Yeah, but there are like specific points. Like if I have the camera on him right now, he'll go but. So yeah, at our video quality, it should be hard. It might be hard to see, but on HD, it should be a little bit easier. But when this is a really catchy song too, and it's just this game. I love this game. It's great.
It's cool, man. It's cool.
It's cool. Oh yeah, but actually, speaking of that, there was actually I think in Europe the first Splatfest was rock versus pop. So they already had that competition. I don't know which team won though. I know Team Dog won the American Splatfest, even though they lost.
Team Dog, yeah.
No, they lost. They lost more games.
Team Dog wins.
But they got the popular vote, Ted.
Team Dog's fucking cheaters, man.
What are you, the Electoral College?
Team Cat for the win, y'all.
You know what Dog's an anagram of? God. Suck it.
You know what Cat's an anagram of?
Can someone explain to me why there was a popular vote in the first place for a video game competition?
Man.
Because shut up. Let us have fun.
Yeah, but
Lewis, you're gonna be that 90-year-old that tells kids to get off his lawn.
Oh, I'm just gonna say, you know, it's a video game competition.
I have a gun.
It should be decided by, you know, video games.
Yeah, well, basically, the way Splatfest works in Splatoon is every once in a while they have, like, a little competition. At the time of this recording, the next one's Team Roller Coaster versus Team Water Slide, hashtag Team Roller Coaster. You know, for like a day, the teams will fight each other. You can pick one, and the team that wins will get more Super Sea Snails, which will upgrade your equipment. So, yeah, cool.
I don't know what the results are going to be, but I got a feeling Roller Coaster's going to dominate that.
I thought cats were going to win, though, so win in popularity, because there are more cat owners than dog owners.
Dogs are man's best friend.
Basically, what you're saying is they take a very basic and boring poll and play video games to it?
Well, no, it's like you can join either Team Dog or Team Cat. And then you play matches, and you're teamed up with other Team Cat members, and you play against Team Dog members. So it's kind of like you pick your side, and you go to war over, like.
And then the winner is decided by the poll.
The winner.
No. There are two factors. There's popular vote, and then there's actual statistics of how well Team A or Team B did.
And at least to be fair, the winner of the more matches is more important because the percentage of matches wins is doubled. So it's just that dogs were.
Yeah, popular vote's not going to get you the buffs.
Yeah, so
it's how you do. It's how well the team does in battles.
Yeah, so dog lucked out basically is what's happening here.
Maybe dogs are just better.
How about you shut up, Ryan?
Well, unfortunately, it sounds like a silly way to have a multiplayer contest, and I just can't be asked to care.
Well,
it's just a way to get people to go on and play multiplayer.
Yeah, it's a day for people. It's like, again, it's another thing to increase interest in the game for a specific day. And I really like it because for Splatfest, you play at nighttime online, which is different. And he's upside down, and I love that.
Okay.
I love that gag. But you play
We
at
saved Zapfish! Hooray!
yeah, but you play at night and the inks glow in the dark, and it just looks cool. The music's great too, so that's why I like that. But
I was hoping he'd dub stomp us.
next time I see you, I'm deleting that fucking app off your phone, dude.
I have 3 of them, dude.
Newsflash. Yeah, they'll do these. Callie and Marie do news flashes every time you turn on the game, and they basically announce which stages are up. And what I really like is that if you beat the single player, the Zapfish will just kind of hug around the tower, being like, "Hey guys, how's it going? I see you're playing some turf war. That seems fun.
At this hour? Wow, why not?
Yeah." And then there's the credits, which you can splurge your ink all over. Although it kind of looks like you're pissing.
You're urinating on the wall.
Yeah, this is like me on in a urinal, basically.
After a real hard night of drinking, you can't keep it in a straight line.
This is kind of like the Smash Brothers credit game.
Yeah, it's in order.
Only you're pissing on it.
Yeah, in order to see any of the credits, you need to squirt ink. So. And you also get some cool concept art and stuff, too, which is nice.
So I can be a dick and just say, I don't want to see your stupid credits.
Yeah.
You know who made it? I did.
And you get another Squid Sisters song here, too. And
They're like little sketches you make on like the corners of your notepads.
Yeah, that's basically the art style the game went for a lot of the time. But yeah, this is a really fun game, and if you haven't given it a shot yet, I think it's one of the best multiplayer games on the Wii U at the moment. I've basically stopped playing Mario Kart 8 on mine since Splatoon came out, so yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much this Mario Kart and Smash Brothers for the online for Wii U.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most fun multiplayer games on the system, and the single player is pretty good too, so you should give it a shot.
Yep. The single player looked pretty fun, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people kind of got the idea that the single player was sort of throwaway, and it's not long, but it's fun to play through, at the very least.
Oh, people are a little too obsessed with game length these days. It kind of pisses me off, to be honest.
Well,
a lot of things piss me off about modern gaming, but what can I say?
Well, I did play through the single player basically 5 times in a row. The first time on my own, then 3 times for the amiibos, and then the 5th time to record it. And I didn't get bored, so I think that shows the game's quality right there.
Oh, the game's got a nice pumping pace to it, so.
Yeah, it doesn't wear things, which is the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, John, are you gonna ever finish the single player or not bother?
To me, the real meat of the gameplay is in the multiplayer, so I'm not in any real rush.
Okay, then.
No. I'm sorry, I didn't answer the
General
question.
producer Shigeru Miyamoto, reluctantly.
Different shakes for different people, you know?
I think he's only on there because it was done in EAD, and he's basically who runs that section of Nintendo. So, yeah.
So, there's not Miku, and then there's not Samurai.
Yeah, I really do not like the boy design very much.
That's why almost everyone you see is the girl squid or inkling.
Yeah, so
That's
you
what it
get
reminds me of.
you get a few pieces of equipment for beating it, but it's nothing too big. But yeah, that was our single player Splatoon playthrough.
Navy blue Inkling boy reminds me heavily of Brave Prince Musashi.
Yeah, he does kind of look like that.
The spikes need to be a little longer, and it's pretty much a dead ringer. I should record that game for the channel.
I don't think anybody else here has played it.
Oh,
I would like it though.
Whatever.